Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we are jumping straight into the catastrophic biological failure that brought down the world's most famous dinosaur park. We're going to break down the exact timeline and honestly, the absolutely fatal genetic decisions that turned a billion-dollar tourist destination into a total nightmare. I mean, we really need to ask ourselves how a multi-billion-dollar facility with 2 decades of perfectly safe operations completely collapsed overnight into total chaos. Just picture this, right? You've got a massive stadium, a roaring crowd, and a colossal mosasaurus leaping out of the water to swallow a 3-meter shark whole. It was a technological marvel. For 20 years, Jurassic World operated safely, drawing millions of visitors to this incredible island. So how does an empire like that literally crumble in less than 24 hours? Well, let's dive into Section 1, the corporate greed factor. Okay, so believe it or not, after 20 years, the incredible had somehow become mundane. The public viewed living, breathing dinosaurs like boring zoo elephants. They were totally used to seeing Triceratops and Stegosaurus. So falling profits and rising costs pushed the park's management to invent a brand new attraction. They didn't just want to discover a dinosaur. They wanted to build a thrilling, terrifying, and completely unknown hybrid asset just to boost ticket sales. And that's how we got the Indominus Rex. Which brings us right to Section 2, designing a genetic monster. Now, what's really fascinating and terrifying about this biological blueprint is the sheer hubris involved. Dr. Wu's genetics team fundamentally misunderstood what they were creating. They built this wild cocktail of DNA. They used a massive T-Rex base for sheer size, mixed in chameleon genes that accidentally gave it active camouflage, and, fatally, they included secret raptor traits. Basically, they engineered a biological weapon, but they disguised it as a theme park ride. You know, Navy veteran and raptor trainer Owen recognized the danger immediately. He worked with highly intelligent raptors every single day, and he warned the park's operations manager, Claire, that raising this new hybrid beast in complete isolation was a catastrophic mistake. It had absolutely no social structure, no understanding of its place in the food chain. It was essentially a psychopathic killer that didn't even know what it was. All right, let's move on to Section 3, escaping the enclosure. So how did it actually get out? The Indominus brilliantly used its genetic traits to stage an escape. First, it masked its thermal signature, which was a crazy side effect of its complex DNA, making it literally invisible to the park's heat sensors. Then, it faked an escape by leaving these deep decoy claw marks scaling the 50-foot wall. When Owen and the guards went inside to inspect the supposedly empty paddock, it ambushed them. Owen barely survived by sliding under a vehicle and cutting the fuel line to mask his scent. And in all the ensuing panic, a guard opened the main door, and the Indominus just smashed right through the cracked gate to freedom. Now, let this number sink in for a second. 20,000. There were 20,000 completely unaware visitors trapped in the resort area as this monster roamed free. And incredibly, the park's owner flat out refused to sound the island-wide alarm. He believed issuing a warning would destroy the park's reputation and lead to its permanent closure. So he gambled 20,000 lives on the wild belief that his security team could quietly handle a creature they really knew nothing about. And that terrible gamble leads us to Section 4, the domino effect. The escalation here was incredibly rapid. An armed security team tracked its implant, right? But the Indominus used its chameleon camouflage to completely vanish into the jungle foliage, and it wiped out the entire squad in less than a minute. After that, the park's owner took matters into his own hands, piloting a helicopter equipped with heavy weaponry, but the Indominus simply ran towards the aviary, forcing the helicopter to crash into it. This shattered the massive glass dome, unleashing flocks of flying dinosaurs directly into the packed crowd of tourists. The sky literally fell on the park. But here's what made this biological failure so utterly terrifying. The creature's motivation. It wasn't even hunting for food. Actually, as Owen discovered when they stumbled upon a field of slaughtered, heavily armored Ankylosaurus, this monster was killing purely for sport. It was out there testing its place in the food chain, brutally eliminating anything that moved. Which brings us to the final act, Section 5, total park collapse. So, a rogue military officer saw all this chaos as an opportunity. He actually forced Owen to use his trained raptors to track and hunt the Indominus, hoping for a field test for biological weapons. But what happens when you send raptors to hunt a creature with raptor DNA? He was completely unaware of that one fatal biological detail hidden inside the hybrid's genetic code. When the raptors finally surrounded the Indominus in the dark jungle, they didn't attack. Because of its secret raptor DNA, the Indominus actually started communicating with the hunting pack. The hybrid completely usurped Owen's position as the alpha, turning the raptors against the soldiers in an absolute massacre. The very asset the military tried to use was turned right back at them by Dr. Wu's own genetic design. So, in a desperate last stand with the Indominus converging on the main lab, Claire made a totally wild decision. She ordered Enclosure 9 to be opened. She actually released the park's original 20-year-old T-Rex to fight the hybrid. She weaponized the park's original apex predator, proving that, hey, sometimes you just need a classic monster to fight a synthetic new one. But the old T-Rex was losing. The Indominus was simply too strong. Its claws were just too deadly. But just as it was about to end the T-Rex, Blue, the lead raptor, remembered her lifelong bond with Owen. She jumped back into the fray, brutally distracting the Indominus, which gave the older T-Rex the exact opening it needed to fight back. And this whole sequence brilliantly illustrates just how unpredictable nature really is. The chaotic brawl pushed the combatants right to the edge of the lagoon. Drawn by the deafening noise and the scent of blood, that massive Mosasaurus we talked about earlier leaped out of the water, clamped its jaws right around the Indominus's neck, and dragged the multi-million-dollar genetic mistake to its doom in the depths. So as we look at the total ruin of Jurassic World, we are really left with one final lingering thought. They tried to control evolution. They tried to build a biological asset solely for entertainment and profit, and it literally destroyed an empire in a single day. So the question is, will we ever stop meddling with nature's blueprints in the name of entertainment? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.